Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be doing a Halloween themed video here with some decks I'm messing around with this year that are using Halloween themed cards, and then also some decks, also a deck that I used last year, very similar to what I used last year. And all of these decks feature Halloween themed Castle Crush cards. Honestly, the first ones here aren't very good, but I thought the one I had from last year was actually kind of okay. It's tricky, it's a challenge because not all of these cards really work that well together. And the main cards in here are obviously the sort of spooky themed cards like the Spectre, the Skull Queen, the Necromancer. I have Black Witch, Resurrection, all that good stuff in here. And Necromancer decks I really found are a little bit trickier than I thought to use. I do like them with Resurrection though, because that can be devastating for your opponent if they only have a limited number of cards to clear the Necromancer. And as you'll see here with the Skull Queen, it's a very dangerous combination if you can actually get the cards out there. Because here, I mean, my opponent, they just did not have enough counters to deal with this. And I'm holding their entire stack of like a Phoenix and a Vampire and an Angel just at their castle while I totally wrecked them with the Specters. And there that one was. But yeah, good spooky themed deck. Vampire also in there. Of course, the Vampire had to be in a deck like that. So I realized the Necromancer actually has kind of a good attack. Or at least against tiny stuff it does. It can actually one-hit the skeletons. Which is kind of a useful thing. I didn't totally realize that. I'd always thought maybe I couldn't play them against a group of skeletons. But it turns out you can play the Necromancer against a group of skeletons, or a small group. And it can in fact get rid of them. This match did not look good, but I just started to fight my way back. And then they... Okay, yeah. So I was able to get the defensive Reaper. I was basically forced to use the Reaper defensively in this deck because I don't know how else to use it with no standard bearer. And it worked okay, but mostly it was just for like clearing skeletons or clearing things behind skeletons. But yeah, Skull Queen was the main finisher here. Skull Queen and Spectre. I do feel like it's a little bit unoriginal, but at the end of the day, there's only 68 cards. So you're going to see something you've already seen before. So here's the deck. Again, Reaper, Necromancer, Vampire, Black Witch, Spectre, Skull Queen, Demon, Boneyard, etc. And I think it's a decent Halloween themed deck. And later on I will use the one that I used from last year, and that one obviously did not have the Necromancer in it because the Necromancer I didn't have it last year. I'm not sure if it had been released, but I don't think I had it. Still though, I mean, any deck with Skeleton, Spectre, Skull Queen is pretty decent usually. Although with the changes to the Mage, I'm seeing more mages in decks now, and they're actually making these types of decks more difficult to play. So I've had to be a lot more aware of what my opponents are doing. Difficult start here, but I managed to turn it around a little bit. I had 2 clears there for the Valk, and despite the start of this match not looking so good, I was able to get my Necromancer out there. But because the Necromancer's 7 mana, it takes time to get the Necro set up, especially in this game mode. In like double mana speed, you can do it because the whole thing is going faster. It's easier to do combos in that mode. Whereas in a normal ranked match, I feel like it's harder to get the Necromancer going, especially if you have other high mana cards. You have to really be prioritizing the Necromancer and hope that your opponent doesn't get rid of it, and you have to, in my opinion, run a Resurrection sometimes. So this was a good match. A good match here, and I was able to get that Spectre position. Another match where they had a mage going, and my black witches were working well here. But eventually, this deck just starts to kind of overwhelm this person, especially the big Spectres are just too much right there. And finally, I was able to get the Reaper in offensively. It's been difficult to get the Reaper in offensively with these types of decks. If you don't have a standard bear, the Reaper is just it's too vulnerable, really. Like, you just can't really do that much with it unless you're going to play it defensively. And I haven't seen many people using the Reaper defensively. You certainly can against skeletons, but I just don't see that many people do it. I think the Spike Statue is preferable because it can hit other cards as well. You know, and it can be useful against, like, Ice Elementals, a variety of different cards. But yeah, skeleton decks overall I feel like are a little bit harder to play than maybe they used to be. Again, the mage buff doesn't help. But skeletons can be frustrating. I'm glad they're a strategy in the game, but at the same time, they can be pretty frustrating. So here in this deck, I was trying to incorporate the Unchained Demon. But the problem is the Unchained Demon was really hard to fit into a Halloween-themed deck because it just makes the entire rest of the deck really hard to play. So I was almost trying to use the Unchained Demon more as like a low mana finisher card, but it's hard because I don't run like Rage, so how am I supposed to use the thing? It just doesn't really fit in very well. And if I play the Unchained Demon to start the match, I don't really have the ability with no giant growth to actually, win the match. And they can just ignore the Unchained Demon and beat me really easily because I won't be able to play anything else. So, difficult card to incorporate into this deck. Here they get a Metamorph out there. This is a weird match, but Boneyard, as always, still a pretty decent card. You can break down Boneyard, but when Boneyard actually gets comboed with Skull Queen, it's pretty good. I still really like the versatility of the Spike Statue. I think it's actually a really good card. I mean, I've had a lot of luck using the Spike Statue because, it can really wear down opposing cards. And right here, they just kept using arrows. And again, I had another Spike Statue out there just wearing down their Orc's Horde. They were running Meteor, but I just decided to keep the pressure on. In this match, I decided to incorporate the Executioner. I believe this was the deck from last year. And I like this deck a lot better, actually. The Executioner was a good card to use. And you can see right there, putting the Reaper behind the Executioner actually was really deadly. Look at that. Look at all that work it was doing. Well, then it got Inferno'd, but still. Always fun to do these themed decks, especially the Halloween one. People always seem to like this for some reason. But if you're going to run a deck, I would recommend doing this one and not the first one I had in this video, because this one I definitely had more success with last year. And I think that that is probably the one you should use. So that is going to do it for this video. Happy Halloween in advance here. I wanted to get the video up a little bit early so there'd be time for people to watch it while it's still relevant. But people always seem to like this Halloween video, so here it is. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel. And thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more videos.